You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Teen Wolf After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Teen Wolf After Show.
What music do we have here?
Oh, I like this music.
It.
As long as the bass drops sometime soon.
We can make it drop.
Oh,
Hello, AfterBuzzers. We're here doing another AfterBuzz TV after show for MTV's Teen Wolf Season 3, Episode 17, Silverfinger. I'm your host this evening, Kristen Elizabeth Snyder, and joining me across the table, AfterBuzz TV host June Lee.
Right, her, of course, her.
And our special guest this evening plays Victoria Argent on MTV's Teen Wolf. Please
and
welcome.
on AfterBuzz.
On AfterBuzz
Yes,
as well, Eaddy Mays.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
This
Glad
music
to be back.
is like...
There's a drop.
Funky.
There's a drop.
Oh, see, that's the way you found it. I love, see, that's just good engineering right there. That's why I love AfterBuzz TV. Cheers to AfterBuzz. Thanks for having me back. Yes,
Thanks
sure
for
did.
being
Thank
here.
you. Cheers to you. Good, I'm glad you didn't just spill that on the mic. That's good.
So last time we had you, it was this past summer. I know you've been watching Teen Wolf. What are your thoughts on this season and how much darker it's gotten?
It's really interesting because people always say to me, but aren't you dead? Which I can't comment on, so let's just say that right now up front. But it's, I'm a Teen Wolfie too. It's a smart, sexy, funny, right? Funny show.
funny.
And yes, you're right, it did get darker, particularly this season, demons and all that kind of stuff. But my thoughts on watching this season as opposed to watching the complications are so intelligent and drawing things from the past are really intricate, and it's refreshing. And
Yeah.
I just don't think you see that in a lot of shows at all. They're so formulaic, and I cannot tell you how many times I've looked at somebody going, she dies. Watch. And invariably, the next scene, my friends won't even see movies with me anymore because I do that all the time, But Teen Wolf is not that, and that's one of the best things about it.
It's very unpredictable. And just because a character dies in the show doesn't mean they're gone.
I'm sorry, what? My mic was, could you say that a little louder? No,
So,
first of all, before you get started, I just want to know, real quick, does anybody want a cookie?
I do.
Oh my
These are
God.
from this fabulous bakery. And they're right. Okay. Yes. Roma. This is her,
Oh my
right?
God.
Do they
I'm
smell
just
good?
going to enjoy the smell.
She's one of
They're really
those. She
good.
won't eat the cookies. I'm totally munching on these cookies afterwards. I'm gonna
doing
suck them
it right
here.
now.
I'll
Good,
join
good
you
for Good for
afterwards.
you. Atta girl. See, there are consequences for people that don't take my cookies, June.
Yes. I saw that with the gum. With the boo gum.
Right.
No, and in the show, too.
Right. And so that's it. And I was explaining to June that there was a scene before it was sort of revealed that Mrs. Argent is what it was at the time was is she in on it? Is she not in it? Did I know that there was a family of hunters, or was all this sort of being done duplicitously? And is that a word?
Yes.
It is now. Even I
Now
don't know
it
if you
is.
can make it an adverb. I like to make adverbs out of things.
Mama Argent just said it.
Yes.
So,
So
it's
therefore,
true.
that's
It's
right.
true.
Thank you. I like her already.
Okay,
Very
you
good.
guys keep talking so I can keep eating.
Keep eating, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Let me
Okay.
put this down.
No.
Okay.
Go. You
What
got
an
an agenda.
amazing episode.
oh
This
my gosh.
episode in particular, and I am particularly glad. I mean, you've had wonderful guests. I will say, I always enjoy watching AfterBuzz. However, this one was particularly juicy. This episode, huge twist, but we'll get to that. You have other things. Let's
I feel like
first.
everything really came together this episode because before we weren't sure if it was going to be a procedural or what direction they were going to go in with all the different characters, but I feel like this episode we got a lot of information and it sort of steers us in the direction of where the show's going for the rest of the season, and you always kind of want that roadmap for your audience.
I am so glad you think that, and I think she'll be totally wrong. Just so you know, I think you're going to be totally wrong. I don't know. I'm not saying anything in particular, but I think that's one of the beauties of Teen Wolf is as soon as you start thinking that, then it hooks you into thinking, oh, sweet, okay, now I know where it's going, and you're going this way, and then it doesn't, and it spins your head around, and it's something else.
No, for sure. Well, let's go ahead. I'll put down my cookie for a second.
Okay, only for a second.
Only for a second.
I'll try and talk more.
So let's talk about Argent's mission and to speak with the Katoshi. So basically, Argent believes that the Katoshi may know why the Oni are here, and so he starts telling them about his mission. And that's why he was gone all day. We kind of saw him at the end of last episode come back, and he was all exhausted on the floor.
Yeah, like passed out. Like, where you been?
Right.
Don't make me come through that television. What you been doing? Right.
So he was trying to get a hold of the Katoshi, who, he has this past with, and he was telling them that when he was 18, and we got to see the older Argent.
Yeah, the younger, technically, right. Yes, the version.
We have a caller on the line.
Oh, see, I tweeted that, and I did. I hope the tweet went through. Okay, we've got a caller.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hello,
Hi. What's your name? Where are you from?
my name is Johan. I'm from Florida. How you guys
Johan from
doing?
Florida. We're doing great, Johan. I hope you are too. Thanks for staying awake to watch AfterBuzz TV and watch this Teen Wolf recap. You got a question, or you just want to tell us how beautiful we are?
Well, both actually.
Oh,
Both.
thanks.
Thank you.
You may have a cookie.
No, but I just wanted to mention. I watched the episode last night, and I think what Styles, there's something that.
Wait. Shh. Johan. Don't say it yet. No. Johan, let me tell you. Yes. You're getting ready to say something really, really, really good. So we're gonna get to it. So he's gonna say something about Styles. So it's something. Is he? Let me ask you this first before you say anything, Johan. Is he your favorite? Who's your favorite on the show?
I like all of them, actually. I don't have a favorite.
Oh, that's good. It is an ensemble cast, and it's hard. Even the most unlikable people on Teen Wolf find some redemption and become likable. Isn't that right?
Definitely.
Okay, so don't give it a total spoiler here on AfterBuzz in case somebody hasn't seen it yet, or in case we talk about it later. But what is it about Styles? Give me a little teaser.
I know some things that people don't know yet if they haven't seen it. So.
Well, okay. What did you like about what happened with Styles? How about that?
Oh man, there's something there that I won't mention that we're gonna see in future episodes that I think is gonna be a little interesting later on. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do. I do. It took a twist, didn't it?
Trying not to give anything away, that's why.
Well, I mean, we've seen it, but we're going to get to some good stuff about it here on AfterBuzz, and I want you to keep watching for that part as well when we talk about that.
Johan, thank you so much for calling in. It was great talking to you.
No problem.
Okay, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Eat a cookie. You get a cookie. Good question. Good commentary.
Hey guys, so don't forget, those of you at home who don't know, you can call in and talk to Eaddy. You can ask her whatever question you're wondering about that happened on Teen Wolf. And the number
no,
here,
you don't have to limit it. I'm good for whatever.
The number here is 424-256-1729. We have a lot of people who rate and comment on the show, and I just wanted to talk about a few of those. Loveka Wolfie, she wants to know who you ship on Teen Wolf.
That's funny. I bro ship more than anything because I truly, Styles and Scott will always be my favorite ship. And then, of course, the Argents, Victoria and Chris. So, and it's funny because I think that MTV Teen Wolf on Twitter had asked for people to say who their favorite ships were, and somebody had tried to come up with a name for Victoria and Chris, and it was like Choria. Or, and it's just, or Vicris, or, I mean, what would that be?
I like all those. All those are fine.
Right, yeah. So, it's definitely, it is the bromance, it is the friendship, because I think friends become our chosen family.
Absolutely. Okay, now getting back to Argent's story this episode. So he was telling the story about, his past with Katoshi and how he was there, and the Oni were actually looking for the dark spirit, who we got to see was Akushamachu. His name was yeah, and they were looking for him. He was the one with like the silver fangs in the beginning, right? That all the Oni actually
very James
put
Bond-like.
up, and killed. And so it's occurring to me that these Onis, they're not actually bad if they're fighting for the force of nature. Their exterior is very scary, but they're actually in reality these like little fireflies.
So and which I loved the firefly. You remember early in 3A that they were the fireflies. You remember that they were in the woods, and then the fireflies, and Scott and Boyd were looking at these fireflies when they saved the kids in the hut or what have you. And so fireflies were a big deal. And so to be told later the meaning of those fireflies, and wait a minute, there aren't fireflies in California. What's going on here? Was really, really what makes it so interesting. It's little bits like that and pulling
little
in that.
details. I know Jeff is so good about those kind of details.
And it's that common thread through it, right? Right? Yeah.
Right.
So, but Argent's mission in this, it's interesting because, and you said that it looks like now that actually those are maybe the good guys all along so far. In these first episodes of 3B, we've thought that those were the bad guys. But now it's, no, now we're thinking, okay, and just in this past episode, that's it. Okay, now we know they're here to find out who are the real bad guys.
Right.
And that's why what happens at the end of the episode is so powerful.
Right.
Right, and we get that great scene with the father-daughter moment where Allison's kind of taking Katoshi's gun, and
yes, very, see, it's all those things like Indiana Jones, and it's all that,
and they finally get to have that conversation where he tells them about a lot what's going on. But how about the scene with Isaac and Allison? Where she's giving him the whole speech of, you got to go in there and be a man, and not a boy. He's like, they're going to know I'm just a boy in a man's suit. And
that's a good thing about Teen Wolf. Again, like, it's just like, it's so true. That's how a lot of guys feel like they enter manhood, is by experiencing those things,
Yeah, but it takes a woman to make a boy a man.
Sometimes.
That's the message I'm getting, right?
That's really, it takes really somebody. True. It definitely takes somebody influential in your life. It takes a friend. It takes somebody, and we've seen that throughout Teen Wolf, and we've seen a lot of reversals with that. Early on, it was Stiles supporting Scott, saying, no, dude, I believe in you. We can figure this out. We'll work this out together. And he was doing all the research. Later, it was Stiles supporting Lydia. And this time, in 3B, we're seeing more that there are all these people coming together now that are having to support Stiles and all of his craziness. But that too is one of the really nice things, is that she supports him, and so that friendship there, more than just the skeleton, skeleton,
I don't even use them.
I have to write. Oh, really? Yeah. I read them, and to say them out loud is different. It's totally,
It's like another language.
Is Eisen one of them?
Eisen, yes.
Something. So, this was like their first kiss, and I kind of got that it was okay now because she and Scott had that little exchange last episode that was kind of like the mutual, it's okay for us to move on kind of, exchange that they had. Just no words were needed, just like that really powerful glance that they had last episode
at the dance, at the party. Right.
So do you guys think that that's why she went ahead and kissed him this episode? Because before she was always like pushing him off and wasn't quite sure what to do.
So that whole shirtless thing.
Yeah.
Let me just say okay, I'm sorry, June. So what do you think, June?
No, I want to hear what you think, Eaddy.
Like, I'm a mom. I'm kind of like old, and so still thinking as a mom, as Eaddy, and then as Eaddy Victoria, it's like, wait a second, put your shirt back on, and let's talk about this. And what's all this kissing and the grabbing of the okay, that was kind of cool. That was kind of hot, actually. I loved that touch. But like when they did kiss, and it was like, why is he touching her there? And it was, but it's why would you let your daughter date a werewolf? I mean, honestly,
again,
yes, again. You'd think you would learn, of course. I say that.
Taught her better than
this. Yes, all I'm saying. Right. Exactly, Dad. Good job. Right.
Yeah, so the whole thing was that Katoshi was like this paranoid recluse collecting like rare antique weapons, and so that's why they were sending Isaac in to do the little exchange so he could, take the guards away from the situation so that Allison and her dad could get to Katoshi and just kind of talk to him about what was going on, about these Onis, and why they were in town. What was it that they wanted?
Well, and again, I love that because that being a weapons dealer has been, again, this consistent element throughout Teen Wolf, and so that it has been rare collectible things is also interesting. And then in the earlier with the reveal of the broken mask, and so having that history, it makes everything more three-dimensional, and it just makes it more. It makes it richer.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Right, and I like the fact that Argent kept the mask after he shot them in the face. It kind of broke up the mask. It didn't kill them, but it still saved Katoshi's life, and then he kept it. So I really like that aspect of it, and that Katoshi says, I owe you more than my life. I owe you my honor.
But if the Oni aren't bad, was his life really ever at risk?
I mean, I felt like in that situation, because he didn't know at that point, what the gravity of the situation, who they were exactly. I think he's become wise and informed over the years. But at that point, he was really young. I don't feel like he knew in that situation what was going on.
They were killing people.
And if you are an Oni, though, is your life really your own? So and that's another way to think of it. His life was returned to him as who he is, and so and his honor, because that maybe some of the choices that they were making of deciding who's good and who's bad, and killing therefore who's good, and branding them, and and culling them, and killing who's good and who's bad. That's been one of the big questions we've seen throughout Teen Wolf.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a way. He may have felt like his honor. Obviously, he did feel like his honor was in question.
Right. Now, I want to skip ahead before we talk about what Katoshi actually told him about the Oni. I want to move ahead because it was kind of split edited with what Scott and his pack was doing. So I'm going to go back to the Kitsune and talk about that later when it comes into play.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and talk about Scott's mission. Now, pretty much Scott's mission is always to just protect everyone.
Yeah.
So we get in the beginning that interaction with Kira, how she's like, I want to see it. She's just kind of finding out, all his friends are supernatural because of the last episode. And he, puts his mask on, he turns into the wolf and takes it off, and she kind of very, sexually but approvingly, caresses his face. But jokes aside, I felt like this moment was particularly important because, he was like, here's my secret flaws, and she just kind of accepts his flaws and actually finds them adorable and likes him because of his flaws, really. And a lot of people always hide those certain flaws from their significant others, because you're always afraid that they're going to judge you or turn away or run away. But she does the exact opposite here. She, adores them and embraces these flaws. What do you guys think about that moment and their relationship in general?
Yeah, it's just the whole thing is so sweet. The whole Kira Scott relationship is so sweet, and the motorcycle riding and the hugging and the endearing looking in the eyes. It's all very sweet.
I agree. I do think that it reminds me when she was touching his face and feeling what it was like. It wasn't just, let me take it in. She became part of that. She experienced that with him, and there's something about a touch that really sets somebody at ease. If unless it's from me and it creeps people out. Did that creep you out? Just checking. But that can happen sometimes.
I'm feeling the love.
Did you poison these cookies?
Enjoy your cookies. I don't know. It depends on how this episode of AfterBuzz TV goes. But there's also an element. It's such a Billy Joel song, who you're both too young to remember. But
I
the
love Billy Joel.
Really? Do you seriously? The Piano Man. Okay.
Oh my God.
So The Stranger is a song. She's very young. And so, but the point is, The Stranger by Billy Joel also addresses what you just talked about. But it's very, very true. We all keep a little place in ourselves that we're afraid to show. Yeah, it's funny. My friend says that nobody would guess that your room is yellow and purple. They think everything you do is like steel and black and and sometimes I am a marshmallow inside. I know I look scary, but so it's true. Who we are in the depths of us, being willing to share that with somebody. There was a real depth and poignancy to that moment, and again, the deepening of this show.
Absolutely. So then Kira got out this Japanese folklore children's book to show Scott when they were at his house and he was trying to protect her, and they were kind of talking about the kitsune, and she thinks that she's the the fire fox, and they rub their tails together to create the fire. She was telling him.
So many things. That was so many double entendres. Okay.
And she was like, foxes and werewolves don't really get along, and then they almost kiss, but the dad comes home, and of course he ruins everything all the time. But before we talk about him, though, like, who gave Kira that children's book? Because we were kind of saying a long time ago in a couple episodes that, you know, it seems like she didn't know her powers, but maybe her family does, and this is something that's, like, passed down. It's like, what's the chances she just happened to come along this children's Kitsune book? You know, I feel like perhaps it was given to her by someone in her family who knew that this is what she was, but she wasn't sure.
But that one day it would become meaningful to her. You know, and there are lots of things that we read to our children specifically to teach them certain ways of life or morals or what have you that just sort of don't hit it dead on the head. You know, if you tell a 9-year-old, by the way, I meant to tell you this little fox creature that's going to rub butts with other people. It's like, I mean, how do you explain? Well, I mean, my 9-year-old would be okay with that, but you know, you explain that to some kids and they're a little freaky. You know, so it's interesting. Maybe that was okay. One day she'll come to understand this, and so that was placed there too. You know, as part of her life.
Right. And Kira's also very smart and very resourceful, I feel. And so, like, she could have just as easily just gone to a library or something like that.
That's possible, too.
Her moment with Scott in the house, I thought was so... And that little, like, I'm joking, you know, I can hear what you're saying. And, like, they're also psychic. Oh, my God, I love that. That was, like, one of my favorite parts of the show.
And they almost kissed. But then, of course, Agent McCall came home.
Yeah, it's just so much kissing.
And we got to get
on.
to him later too.
Yes,
there was something fishy going on there.
Can I interject just for a second? Because this is kind of interesting and kind of cool to me. Teen Wolf had early on the show, so not Beacon Hills, not that world, but Teen Wolf as a show. There had been some articles written, or there was some buzz. Sorry for the pun, about it not being diverse enough. And sure enough, and in fact, I think it was in a Q&A I read that last season, a Q&A on Tumblr with Jeff Davis, the creator of the show, and somebody said, how come there are no Asians in Beacon Hills? And Jeff was like,
I love that. Thank you for that person. Shout out.
Shout out, right?
Seriously.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. You have the cutest, do you have 2 dimples or just one?
I only have one.
Really? That's kind of cool, but asymmetrical is in, so that's good. That's good. So,
I defected. I only have one.
I know. I like that. My kids, I've always wanted dimples. I'm gonna do
you know,
that.
you can put a button. I heard you can make a dimple.
Shut up.
The
Really?
more
With the
you
dimple.
know.
I am so
With the
seriously. I have a story to tell you, by the way. Remind me afterwards the dimple story that I'm going
Next
to
show,
tell you.
I'm going to wear buttons.
I
want dimples.
I would just look fatter if I wore buttons. You know, so yeah. But so what do you think? For real, June, what do you think? And so you're like, cool, shout out. What do you think about this whole influence and this whole other community and culture coming into this? Because we're going to talk some more about it in just a minute.
It's so important. And it's so, as an Asian American, it's so, and Arden talked about this too in an interview that she did with, I can't remember, it was like an Asian YouTube, line, but the fact that they're not a stereotypical Asian family that talks like this, they're American, they're an American family, and they're just a regular family. They happen to be Asian, but she doesn't have an accent, and she's an American girl. And that's so important, I think, and I appreciate that so much as an Asian American audience.
And,
I think that's a great point.
And I can't think of how many shows are doing that, and I love what's one of the great things, again, not only about Jeff Davis as a human, but that they're a Teen Wolfie, because Teen Wolfies are truly the greatest. It's the greatest fan base. That a Teen Wolfie said, "Hey, how about this?" And he went, "Huh, great idea." And now look at season 3, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty tremendous. It's a really, really big deal. And
it really is.
And I think it's so cool. Thanks for bringing in a very special sidekick here that I could ask that question in a great way. So good.
And thank you so much
amazing.
for asking that question.
I like it. Good stuff. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Okay, that was great discussion. I'm glad we thank you. So let's go ahead and talk about Agent McCall. And so he talks about Selinsky not being able to get any more government jobs after this at all in his office when he comes upon that image of Scott and Kira, which is great security, by the way. Whoever uses your computer, you just take a picture of them.
I know.
Love that.
Yeah,
I was like, where can I download that app?
Yeah,
Right?
seriously.
I'm sure you can.
I'm sure you can too.
So Agent McCall confronts Scott and Kira about breaking into his office, and Scott basically tells his dad that he was just a gene donor and he should leave. That was really harsh and kind of out of nowhere, but you know what? His dad wasn't really there for him, so in one way you should never talk to your father that way, but another way, his dad kind of deserves it.
But is he his father? And I don't mean that in some sort of, I'm revealing some plot secret. My mother left my father, my biological father, when I was 2 years old because he was abusive. And so I can't wait to see if more is revealed there. And, you know, I think one of the, I know it was Price Peterson on TV.com had that photo recap. And he said in there, it's Melissa, who is Melissa, but Melissa was looking at Agent McCall and saying, you know, why did I marry you again? You know, and it's and mind you, many of us have thought that about, why did I marry you? Why did I date you? Whatever the thing is, you know? So it's a totally reasonable question. But my mother has said that same thing, and we have laughed about my biological father as well. So and he died about 2 years ago, and when I was told, I think I was told, or I can't even remember how I found out. I was like, that's too bad. I just didn't know him. I mean, I've never ever known him, so I didn't meet him until I was in my 20s. So when there's so I totally relate to that storyline, and it is absolutely legit and on the money on that. And talk to him however you want to. This dude's a stranger, and don't tell me what to do, dude.
Absolutely, a father is a person who's there when you're, learning how to ride a bike.
That's exactly right.
When you're going to your first year of school, that's who your father, that's who your mother is.
Right. That's exactly right. It's not the person.
Okay, so we're all on par behind Scott's
good.
words.
That's right.
Okay, so then, I guess the Smoke Ninjas or Onis didn't like that conversation. That's what we were calling them. They apparently didn't appreciate that conversation because they showed up and they just stabbed him. And no one was sad.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God, I know.
Yeah.
Hardly. That's so true. Melissa was a little bit.
She knew the urgency of the situation to get him help. But, and then...
But isn't that telling? So if now at the end of the episode is revealed that they're looking for people with, or branding, or that they're actually the good guys and they're looking for evil that's inside somebody, all I'm saying. Point. So you leave your kid like that, and clearly there's bad blood there. It's not... Now, some parents do have to split, and there are some reasons when... I'm not saying that... in all cases that's a bad thing, but maybe they came to some judgment, and that's why, it's like alien comes out of his chest or whatever. It was crazy.
Nature will find you.
Yes, exactly. So will I.
So basically, as he's like bleeding to death, he talks to Melissa and he kind of says, "You know why I came back, don't you?" And it was kind of a question to the audience too, because we don't really know. I mean, it looked like he was coming back to move Stilinski out of his job, and I mean, hopefully he was coming back to reconnect with his child, Scott, but we don't really know. And does Melissa know? And what was that whole part, how like a few episodes ago, like Styles said to him, like, my father and I both know something about you.
Right.
And we
so
had
many secrets.
Yeah, we had someone leave a comment that said that they thought that Styles Scott's father might have something to do with Styles' mom. Just throwing that theory out there. That was Sol Bratha, 69.
Sol Bratha, 69. All I'm saying. Well, a handle well picked. Yes, but there are so many intricate dimensions to all relationships, but particularly in this show, and so who knows? And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Because
I don't know if I know. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, what do you think, June? Why do you think he's back in town?
I have no idea, and that's what I was that's what I was talking about earlier when we said we had to come back to that, because I just have no idea. I was thinking maybe he's not his father. Maybe they're brothers or something.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or
maybe he's a werewolf too. Who knows? Because why is Scott the true alpha?
Exactly. I was thinking like maybe they're all like siblings and their parents were like really bad. I don't know.
But that you get to wonder all that is one of the joys of the show.
Now that he was stabbed by this Oni, he like clearly knows about the supernatural, and how is this going to change? His understanding of the town, what his motives are going forward. Is he going to be like lighter on Stilinski's dad now that he understands
why? Will he pair up with him?
Yeah, why the cases weren't solved.
But he was so unfazed. He wasn't like, what are these things that stabbed me?
That's
like
a good point.
I mean, like I feel like if
He's
somebody,
probably in shock, but
maybe.
still.
But wouldn't you still be like, what was that?
Exactly.
What was that thing that attacked me?
And
He
we
was
didn't
just-
get that.
We didn't get that
That's
at
a great
all.
point,
He was
June.
just kind of like, I need to talk to Scott.
Yeah.
You know why I'm here.
And you know why?
You know why I'm here.
Yes, exactly.
So is he dying? That makes it sound like he was already dying, besides the stab wound. I don't know.
Anybody can die. Anybody can come back. Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully
Who
we'll
knows?
see Miss Argent back.
thanks.
So Deaton put this security system on Scott's house, basically the mountain ash in the baseboards, so that the Oni couldn't come in. And Derek and the twins show up. I was really happy that we got to see Derek because this was kind of like seasons ago when he would always pop up out of nowhere and save the day. So it was nice to see him kind of do that again. We're not really sure where his storyline's going this season, so I'm glad that he's still like being that protective brother, father figure for Scott.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad that the Hale storyline, which has been very unusual and very shirtless.
We don't have a
make it
problem with
oh,
that.
really? Okay. I kind of was like, it's like, but when you. To not have that solved like that in one episode, again, one of the glories of this show. It's like, good, make me wonder, make me question, let me see what's it, because then you know it's going to be a little meatier, pardon the pun, but there's going to be more to it, because life doesn't get solved that easily.
No,
Right.
It just doesn't.
Agreed. So then the twins were following Scott around to protect him, which leads to like Scott screwing with their bikes because he doesn't want them to get hurt. And then later, Derek asked the twins if they'd be willing to die for Scott. Do you guys think this is foreshadowing that the twins' lives could be in danger? I mean, if they're part of his pack, they could die at any time, but it's kind of, random that he would just throw that out there. But I guess to be part of his pack, you would have to want to die for him.
Go ahead.
you guys
I don't know.
no,
You took a breath. No, okay. I'll arm wrestle you for it. Okay, no. It's interesting because I've read a lot of that online. Oh, and which one do you think it's going to be, and which twin? And does this
They can
mean
just
one will?
share the character that's left, right? Would we
right,
know?
Right, exactly. We wouldn't know. Yeah, they could divide the money.
Very true.
But it's funny. I'm guarding my answers. Okay.
Okay.
So it's not. So bear with me. With the information we've been given so far, there is nothing concrete, especially in this show. It can go. Things on this show can go either way,
Yeah.
and then do, but especially with the twins. But it could also mean to Secret Service people. Are you willing to step in front of a bullet for this person that you might not have even voted for, that you don't even like, or that so to die in service to something is really the big picture, and all we've seen maybe so far. So we
Right.
don't necessarily from the information from what we've been given, what we've seen so far. There.
Well, I definitely think that they're trying to prove themselves to Scott. They want in his pack. So hopefully the answer is yes, because I feel like that's the only way they're going to be a part of his pack for sure.
They still killed Boyd, though, so I don't know.
Well, they helped.
Yes, well, if you hold the coats while they're stoning somebody or sticking knives in somebody, that counts. I'm just saying, if you're rooting them on, that counts.
Oh, I forgive them. They have their shirts off enough times.
Okay,
It's
there's
fine.
that. They merge.
They were responsible for that amazing rave.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Yeah,
been
that's true.
blinded with their nakedness. I forgot.
That's hilarious. That's good.
So then Allison calls Scott and tells him what they learned from the Oni, and basically that the Oni are looking for the dark spirit who is not themselves and has been possessed. And Scott tells everyone not to do anything, and he takes Kira's hand, and they just sort of endure that, scanning of their souls to make sure that they are their true self. And we kind of got that, the backwards 5 behind the ear represents oneself. So
Which is like a kanji symbol, right?
yes.
What was that kanji
Wait, it's like a
symbol?
what?
A kanji symbol?
I'm asking you not because I don't know, but because I want you to explain it a little further.
Right.
Right.
The kanji symbol, I was going to ask you guys if you guys remember what that kanji symbol meant.
Well, they were just kind of, saying in this episode that it was, marking them so that it's to say this person is their true self.
Right.
Their
Check.
oneself.
Yeah. Okay, we're good
Next
here. You're good.
person.
Yeah. Who's that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But does it come off? Do you have to go to one of those places here in LA, and have it like lasered off? I don't know. Does it work?
Dr.
and,
Tat-off.
yeah, and if the tattoo didn't work on Scott, I don't know. This is like some sort of special mark or something like that. That's interesting.
That's a good point. So basically what we learned from this was the split editing scenes when Allison and Argent was with the Katoshi, and and he was kind of telling them about the kitsune. And they were saying that, these oni are unstoppable demons, and you don't fight a force of nature, you have to endure it, which they did. And then that they're looking for the one that's no longer themselves, but possessed by the dark spirit. And
wait, and now say just to make a point, because it was said. They said what? They're looking for what?
Someone who was...
No, is that what they said? Did they say looking for some... Okay, so someone, or looking for people who are, or are they looking for one who is?
It doesn't say. It could be more than one, because...
Could be, but it could just be one. And
it could just be one person, but...
I thought it was one.
You never know.
They were
there could
looking
always
for
be
the one.
Okay, so if they're...
You never know.
So that's where I'm sort of leading you. So if they're looking for the one... so we'll get to more of that in a minute, like...
Of who it could be. Okay, so he was saying that there's 13 different kinds of kitsune, and they...
Which is so interesting.
Yeah, and the different types will take, like, different earthly elements, like wind, ocean, thunder, fire, and the creatures can ultimately be classified in one of two ways. The Zenkos, which are the good foxes, or the Yakos, which are the sly and even dangerous foxes. So the dark kitsune is called Void, which we saw an example of him in the beginning was the Akumachu.
Which sounds like Hakuna Matata, so I can't, every time, so every time I
guys
hear it,
don't
I'm
wanna
like...
say it? Akumachu?
Matata. Yeah, Akumachu. Right, okay. What a wonderful phrase.
I'm sure that's where they got the inspiration for the name.
Not.
So he was a dark spirit, and basically this kitsune draws its power from pain and tragedy and strife and kills. So that's a little foreshadowing of what's going to be happening, I assume. And to destroy the evil kitsune, even if it's your own daughter, is what Katashi advises Argent.
And so is that also foreshadowing? Are we seeing, every time Allison goes to fire a weapon, she thinks she's firing at this, but really she's firing at a friend, or we're seeing these things, and we're seeing her evil aunt in these dreams that she's having, and does that mean she's got some of those genetics? Who knows?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up our last topic before we get to your interview. I want to make sure we have enough time. So Styles,
Dun, dun, dun.
nobody...
There should be a drum roll. It's something. This is a big deal.
Nobody minds watching the good guy go bad, right? So it's like, as much as everyone loves Styles, this was the perfect character to turn crazy, right? Because everyone would not suspect this. So he tries to confess to Scott that he was the one who wrote Kira's name, but they will go back. The writing's not there. He doesn't have the key anymore. So Scott basically just tells him to go get some rest. He goes to the hospital. Melissa kind of helps him by saying, look, you just need to sleep, and gives him like a sedative. And he says, thanks, Mom. And so that kind of triggers her to go in the hospital files.
Mom reminds me of something. Yes,
and she pulls up Claudia Stilinski. And we were told by Jeff in an interview that we would find out what killed his mother, and that it was now affecting Styles. So he has acute insomnia, we can assume, because that's what his mother died from. And the teaser is that when Styles wakes up in the hospital, Scott was looking for him, but the Oni finds him first. And Styles rips the Firefly out of the Oni, which appears to be like the heart of them, the heart of their life that makes them these dark spirits. And it definitely appears that, he's being possessed by this dark spirit, that he is who they were looking for, so it appears. Or is he the distraction, like the mid-season distraction from who the real dark spirit is? What do you guys think? Or is someone possessing him? So it's, because we know conscious Styles wouldn't be a villain. So
yeah, I love how he was like still trying to tell Scott. I was wondering for a moment if whether or not he would try to keep it a secret if he was scared, but it truly shows that courage in his heart that he would go to Scott right away and say, like, I need to show you something. I'm the one that's been doing it. So I don't know. I feel like he's possessed.
And I think that's because he's been so likable the entire season, everybody will want, invariably, I ask people all the time when they come up to me and I say, well, who's your favorite character? I mean, besides me, of course, and so often it's Styles, of course, because it's that warm, likable, it's the one we thought was most human and ideally that most of us could relate to. And then here we see he punches, has the courage to reach into the heart of and grab out the essence of, and it turns out to be a bug, but it's like, but still, or the form of shape, like Wonder Twins, like form of a lightning bug, but that he does that, and then it's just a much bigger deal than was revealed, and I don't think ever with this show you can ever say, well, we know that, or I know, it's just, I know, because there's this, right? Don't we know? Yeah, I just think it's always dangerous to say that with this show. So be sure to watch and pay attention. And even when it's confusing, it still gets revealed. It's nice.
Yeah, people on the YouTube, they were kind of getting annoyed by like some of our predictions and stuff. But guys, we don't know what's going on. We're just throwing it out there. We're right along with you in your chair, just trying to figure out where the story's going. And we had Jake, Naki, and Michael Lamar commenting, and someone said that Styles had a wardrobe change. Like last episode, we missed it. Like he had changed his shirt, and that was supposed to symbolize something.
That's interesting.
So, like,
they're the Teen Wolfies, I'm telling you.
Yeah, the Flow Mind said that.
So much smarter than we could ever be.
Before
Wait a minute, speak for yourself, Jared. Hold on a second.
I'm for myself.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and I being a Teen Wolfie, that makes me smart.
I mean, some of these fans, though, all they do is they watch interviews all day and all week, leading up to each episode.
Right.
So,
and I have to tell you, that's one of the reasons why both last time that you were gracious enough to ask me to come and to ask me again this time, where I choose what I say very carefully, based on the information we've seen so far in the episodes, based on what but it's fun to come up with suppositions. Well, maybe, what if this? Oh, what if that? That's part of the joy of it. There's nothing that you've said on AfterBuzz, on any of these AfterBuzz TV episodes of Teen Wolf, that isn't all over the internet anyway.
Right.
So it's not like you're telling some spoilers. If it happens to be true, it's like I said earlier, when I'm sitting in the movies and I go, watch, she'll die. And then she doesn't. I'm like, ugh. Frankly, I wanted her to die, but so there are things that we can make predictions that doesn't anywhere, but that happens online all the time. It's not a reflection on the show or anything.
And guys, we want to hear from you. So if you want to predict what's going to happen, give us a call. Let us know. I want to read one more comment before we get to your interview. It was Derek Sourwolf. She said, even though the only thing
I know that one. That's funny. Hi, that's nice. I like that.
She says, even though the only thing that lights up my life is Teen Wolf, I also love listening to this podcast on my way to school. It makes me stop thinking about all the dark, negative things that are happening in school and focus on something more important like Teen Wolf.
Okay.
Yay.
And she says, so thank you for making my day brighter. I want to thank all of your crew and Teen Wolf cast and crew.
Okay,
you guys are amazing.
Stop. That totally gets me. And I am not a marshmallow inside. Deep breaths. No. And there are a handful of them. Sometimes people will say, how come you don't follow fans? And I'm like, because all I see on Twitter are your fingernails and 1D comments and that you're Harry's girl. But there are people in particular who I do follow, and some who I just go and check out their stuff periodically. And it's young people like that say, you know what, I'm listening to you on the bus because what's happening in my reality is so unpleasant, and this takes me out of that. And that's the glory of film and television. And not all film and television does it. Sometimes it's just there to make money. But specifically, I know from conversations that I've had with Jeff Davis, that's what he wanted with this show. Mission accomplished. Level up. You did it, and that's what Teen Wolf does. But it doesn't just do it for teenagers, gang. I got to tell you, don't think it's just a teenager thing, because it's just not. And I tell people that all the time. Don't be fooled by that name.
Yeah, it's a really nice escape for people, especially going through, a lot of the situations that they kind of will recreate on Teen Wolf with monsters. I mean, a lot of that is just the scary stuff that happens in your real life, in your high school. So it's nice that, Teen Wolf provides that sort of escape for their demographic and for older people as well, just like we were saying.
Absolutely.
But it's just great because you can see the symbolism with that, with things, when Stilinski earlier this season, Styles was having the problem, like, reading in front of everyone. I'm like, and it was scary because the words were falling off the page. I'm like, I swear that happened to me whenever someone played popcorn and like I had to read out loud. Like, I swear I was so nervous. The words were really falling off the page. So it's nice that they play on those little insecurities that we all had growing up in high school, and we get to see it in the show. And we see our characters face it, and it kind of makes us a little stronger inside.
I agree with you 100%, and it doesn't change no matter how old you get. It's still like that. It's still when I go to a meeting and there's something. I remember my first Teen Wolf table read, and I thought, and people were there, and I thought, okay, so where am I going to sit? And there's the thing, and then there's an MTV executive there that I hadn't remembered meeting at one of the parties, and I said, it's so good to finally meet you in person, and he went, we met before. And I was like, to see you again in person. And it was just that, and I'm a grown person, but I just died inside. And it's, but those awkward or embarrassing moments are, where emotions are running high and we feel like we turn into a beast. And that our friend can still look at our beast and touch it and say, it's okay. I still like you and I still love you. That's something that lasts, hopefully. Hopefully we all get to experience that in our lives, our entire lives.
Absolutely. Well, now we would like to get into like a little interview with you, if you don't mind.
No, I know, but you didn't say. I think I might need a cookie. Are there any alcohol cookies? I don't know. I'm old enough.
Some bourbon flavored cookies.
Exactly.
Bring out the
God,
bourbon flavored
cookies.
cookies. So, what's one of your favorite on-set stories or experiences with the cast or crew that you remember?
I'm trying to think of something I can tell. What I find particularly. Okay, one of my favorite stories, and I hope I didn't tell this one last time, because I like to tell this one in particular, because I seldom worked with Tyler Hoechlin, and just as it turned out, we didn't have a lot of scenes together. But in 208, episode 208, as I was attempting, I as Victoria was attempting to kill Scott to keep him from the werewolf from having sex with my daughter any further, and werewolves kill people, and I didn't know how he was going to turn out to be. Tyler Hoechlin, we had this big fight scene, and they had a stunt gal there that had this red wig on, and the wig was good, but then she had this spiky little red wig, and she was about this big, and she was standing there, and she was in my wardrobe, and it was that green spotted thing, and then when I saw her, and it occurred to me, I said, wait, what? I don't get to do the stunts. It took me totally by surprise, and I said, and just like we were saying, like when we're young, it's like, I want to do it. Can I do it? And so I spoke up, and I said, I'd really like to do it. But now here's Hoechlin, though. I'd never done. I mean, it's a pretty big fight scene with a fake knife and punches, and I throw him against a wall, and so injuries happen in stunts. For him to say, you know what? Yeah, do it. And I did it in 4-inch heels too, by the way. I just did my own stunts in heels.
That's amazing.
Okay, so all I'm saying, so guys do their own stunts too, but not usually in 4-inch heels. Sometimes, but not usually. But the fact that was one of my favorite moments, and that was a long, long night in particular. But where everybody, and in those times where we're waiting for things to get set up, or where they're figuring out, or they're showing us how the fight's going to go, and it's going to be like this, and he's going to bang your arm, and you're going to throw him like this. That while they're setting up, sitting around talking. Just real life. I tell people all the time, Posey and especially Crystal, but and Dylan, they're even nicer than they seem in the show. They're just the most. They're all you see, and more. They're just really, truly lovely people. And sometimes you hear, God, you're so awful to work with. And there are people and people always ask me, how was Sandra Bullock? Was she cool to work with? And so, yes. Like one of the greatest. She's a total wise guy, so stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. But that's one of my favorite stories.
So June came up with this question. Everyone's in such good shape on this show, and of course you are as well. Ooh, look at those muscles. So June came up with the question, just like, what's a workout or nutrition tip that you would give to the fans? Either what's your favorite workout, or like what's a tip? Ron knows exactly what I want to say right now, but I'm not going to, something about hockey players. But anyway, no, but what I will say legitimately is what you put into your mouth is what comes out. So, and everything. Does anybody want a cookie? But, and I ate that, and she's eating that. I won't eat 10 of them. And I won't eat them every day. And that's the other thing is if I want some tiramisu or something, I'll have a few bites. And I think we see that a lot on set. Now, of course, a lot of these kids
were kids when we first started. And it was like, wow, great, can I have some more cake? You know, and they're eating and eating, and I'm thinking like, I'm hummingbird metabolisms, you know. But truly, and on-set catering is so good, and they just take really, really good care of us and give us a lot of options, and craft services as well. But just in general, what you eat is what, it really is what you become. And so just watch what you put in your mouth.
That's a great tip. And before we go, are you working on anything you can talk about? I know a lot of the actors and actresses come in here and they're like, I'm working on a lot of cool stuff, but I can't talk about it. Is there anything we can check out of yours? Go to your website or... Yeah,
you can always go to the website. It's also a good way. It's just my name, EADDYMAYS, EaddyMays.com. And it's also a way that there's a contact thing in there, so that you know, you can either email me or write me, and I've had some folks do that, and it's truly an honor, you know, asking for headshots or what have you, which they turn around and sell on eBay. Quite interesting, but
flattering, really.
You know, okay.
No one's emailing me for my headshot.
Yeah, but it didn't bid real high, so that was a little bit, you know. But I bid on it. I tried to raise. No.
That's funny.
But is there anything that I'm working on? I'll tell you this. I auditioned for something that. And got called back for something. How about I tell you about that? Because I can't talk as much about, but it is like a cross between something about Mary. Do you remember that? Something about Mary meets Blades of Glory. And you know, so I read my scenes and I was like, oh, that's okay. And then for the callback, they sent the whole script and I went, oh my, would not let my kids watch this. And it was just, I mean, so it's really interesting. It's just really interesting sometimes what you get, but it's one of those fun comedies. Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
So wish me luck. Yeah.
And as we roll out, we can just kind of say our predictions because we're running out of time, unfortunately. I really think next week, you know, it looks like Styles is missing, and he's being tortured by someone who sounds a lot like Gerard. Because somebody says, we're going to kill them all, and then that was kind of like that line sounded similar to what he did. And you guys can catch me at Cinematic Escape on Twitter. You can Bing or Google my blog, Cinematic Escape. And where can we find you, Eaddy?
All over the internet, in only the good ways, and it's always my name, EADDY Mays, MAYS. Even on Tumblr, I don't do anonymous or aliases or anything. So just look for me, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter, Google Plus, you know, my mom, you know, yeah.
And what about you, June? Where can we follow you?
You guys can follow me at Miss_June Lee at Twitter.
All right.
And Instagram.
Oh, my Instagram too. Don't you love Instagram?
All of my Instagrams are about food, by the way. So you know I'm not one of those girls.
That's another tip I would have given. Don't do that. Yes, good. Okay.
Thank you
good.
so much for being here, Eaddy.
Okay, it was my pleasure. As usual, again, you run a great show, and I love AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen, for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. Have a great week.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.